Yeah, g'day everyone, and welcome back to the Gold Coast Titans Frontline podcast. Dane here from Clarkie's Rugby League column on behalf of the Gold Coast Titans Frontline, which is the official supporters group of the Gold Coast Titans. And I got a huge preview show for you all today. We'll be previewing the entire 2025 NRL season. We'll do a quick recap of last year. We'll talk about some of the optimism, doubts, unknowns coming into this season. We'll talk about our depth of roster, key signings and losses, my opinion on our best possible lineup. We'll go through some season predictions, some key games and areas of the season that I think we need to nail, my predicted ladder finish, and then we'll go through everything else in between that, guys. So it's going to be a huge show previewing what it hopes to be a massive season for us, and I'm glad that you're all here to join me. We're in the beautiful 2025 brand new Titans membership hat here, and yeah, really excited for the frontline, guys. We're going in a new and exciting direction this year, and I can't go into too much specifics as to why I'm here by myself today. But before we do get to, I suppose, all of the previous stuff immediately, you guys would have noted I'm here by myself. There's usually a co-host. Really difficult to get into the specifics of that. I think naturally people are going to have their own thoughts about what's happened here. And there's always three sides to every story, right? So out of respect to all the individuals involved, I just want to personally leave that there. And yeah, I suppose that's a statement without really making a statement, but I'm unable to give you guys kind of what's gone on or what's occurred there. So hopefully everyone can respect that and get around the Titans front line moving forward all the same. And I just want to say to the Titans front line, of course, thank you so much for allowing me to continue this podcast, represent our community here on YouTube. We're in the process of trying to obtain our podcast locations. I don't have the logins for that. But we are very hopeful that in the future we can get our Spotify and Apple logins back. And then, of course, we're back to normal routine from there. So fingers crossed we can get those. For now, this preview will only be available on YouTube. I apologize for that. It is something that's out of my control. And fingers crossed we can get it rectified for the front line as soon as possible. We've gone in a bit of a fresh direction, as I said earlier. I'm personally really excited to share that with everyone. And I do have some big news. I will have a new co-host moving forward. I won't say who just yet, but as a hint, they do have over 1 million collective followers on social media. So we're definitely pumped to have their presence here promoting the front line and getting around the Titans. In short, you will see a new logo as well for the front line this year and a new theme at the bottom of that, which says connection, community, and commitment. So in short, the 3 Cs, and let me explain to you what each of those briefly means to us here in the front line. So for us, connection, our first C, a deeper connection with the players, fans, and the club itself. We connect by showing our support through thick and thin, positively supporting our side, and that connection with each other in the front line. So it makes us a community, which is our community C. In short, we want to create a strong, diverse, and welcoming environment where everyone feels welcome to sit in the front line. Whether it's your first time supporting the club or you're a lifelong fan, it doesn't matter. Our community welcomes you all the same. We invite you to support this club beyond the 80 minutes we watch on the field every week on game day and get around our community here in the front line. And the final C, guys, commitment. And I'm sure all Titans fans know about this one. True supporters, we show up for our team regardless of the results, and the front line is no different. In fact, the front line is built on years of resilience and commitment from individuals that come share their passion for this club. And although you guys see me on a podcast every week, breaking it down and previewing it for you guys, just know I am one tiny cog in the frontline machine, and there are many individuals that put in a ton of time, effort, and their own hard-earned money behind the scenes to make the frontline what it is. So I'm really excited about 2025, and the fact you're here watching this preview, hopefully you feel the same way, but we thank you for your viewership nonetheless. Right, a quick recap of 2024. Let's look at where we've been to look at where we're going. Last season, we finished 14th. We had a record of 8 wins and 16 losses. Our for and against was -1. Now, it's not where we wanted to finish, of course. I don't think too many Titans fans would be happy with another bottom 4 finish or a bottom 5 finish, I should say. But in reality, there was a lot of character building last year, I felt. And let me give you some examples of that, because I don't want to just throw that out meaninglessly. Titans fans, every kind of season we come in with optimism, and sometimes that slowly gets ripped away from us as the season goes on. So I don't want to throw empty statements at you guys. I want to back it up with some examples. Round 6, we had a 1-point controversial loss to Canberra. Following week, we had a 4-point loss to Manly. Round 9, we lost to the Melbourne Storm by 2 points. Magic round, we had a controversial 4-point loss to the Knights, and we finished our season with a 6-point loss to the Panthers at their home ground, who would go on to win the premiership. So, of course, when you look at that number, 14th, and you see an 8-16 record, it doesn't some real character building in those losses, and I hope those examples shown that. I think some other positives we can take out of last year as well is we did get wins over the Dolphins and Broncos, two of our biggest rivals and the closest situated clubs to us. We also had our highest ever win margin, and that was over the Warriors at home. So that was awesome as well. We had some nice moments in an otherwise, and evidently, I think all of that does show we are headed in the right direction. I just think at times last year we really struggled to manage our momentum and turn up consistently. I think the best example of that was against the Cronulla Sharks at Coffs Harbour, which was their home ground. Round 18, we beat them. Round 22, they destroy us. 4-0 at our home ground. What happened 1 week before that game? We had a massive victory over the Broncos. We ran away with it in the second half. And we already showed we could beat the Sharks. We could beat them away. We returned home. We had some key people back in. They had some in, and we found a way to blow it because we just didn't know how to manage that momentum. And I hope that is something that our players have learnt from last year. I think it's certainly something that the club on. It's moments like that that have hardened our side. In my opinion, I think we've learned some real valuable lessons from last year. And that's why when I look forward to 2025, no doubt there's going to be a little bit of optimism, a little bit of doubt, and of course, there are a lot of unknowns as well. And with Titans fans, it's very hard for us to say that we're expecting a huge season or we think we're going to play finals. It's always we're rebuilding or who knows, we'll give it our best shot, but we're probably not there quite yet. And so those unknowns are still present as we head into the 2025 season. But let's look forward to the 2025 season on the back of Kieran Foran's injury in the preseason challenge, week 2 there, or week 3 there rather. I think some of those doubts have grown, and rightfully so, because he is so important to our roster. He is a fantastic leader, and he is the glue and the experience in amongst a lot of our young superstars there. He is my biggest strength for the season, and why, as much as we love Foz and we need Foz, I don't think his injury, albeit a long-term one, is season-ending. We essentially have 3 fullbacks in attack. And it's really similar to the Storm, right? They've made it work with Ryan Pappenhausen, Jerome Hughes, and Cameron Munster, who are all far more established players than our trio of Keanu Kinney, Jaden Campbell, and AJ Brimson. But don't dismiss our guys are young, hungry, and what really excites me this year is they are going to be playing behind the most powerful forward pack we've ever had on the Gold Coast on paper. We've got Tino Fa'asuamaleaui returning. Jimmy Jolliffe was one of our best players last year. He'll be back this year, to the year we hope. And Regan Campbell-Gillard as a fresh signing. Of course, also Moeki Fotuaika. And I think that forward pack will be able to give us a platform. In previous years, we've kind of seen Tino and Mo go off, and their replacements came on, and they were handy for a little bit, but you could really start to see that momentum. The other team knew it. We've got to strike now while their big guns are off. Now, it doesn't matter which of those 4 props are out there, 2 of those 4 props are out there, rather. I'm going to feel confident that they can hold their own against any forward pack. I really do mean that. And I think that's really exciting because if we can get on the front foot and we can maintain that, I rate us as one of the best attacking threats in this competition. I think we've shown that over a number of years as well. We're in a competition where we can score against any side through individual X factor. Example, I believe it was Jaden Campbell last year with his sidestep over Liam Martin, who would go on to be the Clive Churchill medalist, to score against the Panthers. Now, that's individual X factor, but we can also connect that with offloads and creative passing through Brimson, who has a point to prove, through Keanu Kinney, who has established himself as a rep player now, and through Jaden Campbell, who, whilst he will play halfback, still predominantly has a fullback skill set. And the reason why I'm not too worried about not having Kieran Foran there for a large portion of this year with his injury is I just feel in the modern game, with the speed increasing, previously, you wanted to have players like Cameron Smith and Cooper Cronk who could really slow the game down, and you'd kick for the sideline and you'd slow it right down and play at your own tempo. Whereas now with the 6 to go and the speed at which the game is played, it's more so you want to outpace your opponent. You want to have more momentum than they have. You want to outlast them and outpace them. And so having 3 attacking fullbacks there in your spine positions That being said, I do see us this year probably having a few really big losses because we did see in the preseason challenge round 1 against the Broncos, when you do play that style of footy and you get it wrong or you're off the mark, you do open yourself up to a lot of defense. Now, a lot of defense increases fatigue. And then when you're trying to play that creative style of attack with offloads and quick ball movement, quick ruck awareness, whatever it might be, because you're fatigued from the higher defensive workload, you are opening yourself up to more errors. So we could see that this year. And I actually think we will lose a couple of games by like 20 or so points. I can see us losing a few big margins this year. But the reason why I'm not too worried, guys, to be completely frank with you, is I see us winning more games by larger margins, really getting the lead early and running on with it with the momentum with our new spine, where we have predominantly attacking players there in our three. I keep saying three fullbacks. It might not be the best way to describe it, but our three fullbacks, for lack of a better term. So I'm really, really excited for that. I don't see anyone in our spine that's able to slow the game down and control that pace of the game if we need that to occur. And that's why I think we could be susceptible to some larger losses as well. So it works both ways, but I think we've got the talent to really make it work our way. And that's what we need to focus on in 2025, the Titans way. We can't copy the Penrith Panthers blueprint, guys, or the Melbourne Storm's blueprint, or even a side that just wants to complete high, kick to corners, and win the game on safety. I don't think we've got the right side makeup for that, particularly with our spine. We need to play fast, explosive, expansive, and creative football. And we've got the players to do it. So that's why I am so. And so, whilst it is our biggest strength, there is a weakness element to it as well, right? There is an Achilles heel element to it. And there's an Achilles heel to every game plan. I just think ours is a little bit more easier to expose for some of these more elite sides that we may come up against. Alrighty, guys, let's talk next about our depth of roster. So I've gone through and had a look, and I've calculated our players that are that can play in multiple different positions for us. Fullbacks, I think we've got 4 good options there. I won't go through each option and bore you there, guys. I'll just tell you the depth we've got. Wingers and centers, we've got 7 options there. A lot of our players are interchangeable between the two. In the halves, we've got 6 options. For middle forwards, we've got 9 different options. In the hooker position, we've only got 2 options. And at back row, we've got 6 different options. So when I look at our depth roster, I would say it's extremely balanced. It's probably the most balanced roster we've ever had here on the Gold Coast. My only concern would be around that hooker position, but that is mitigated by the fact that Sam Verrills and Chris Randall played the entire season with 24 games each last year. So whilst that is the area where we're most thin in our roster, we have 2 players that have shown longevity in their game last year. So I'm not too worried about that. And in terms of our depth of roster, injuries, suspensions, maybe sitting out when our big players play Origin, such as Tino Mo, etc. It's a part of the game, and it's an area of the game that I think we're equipped pretty well to manage, if I'm absolutely honest. So I do love the depth of our roster this year, guys. Looking over to our key signings and losses, our key signings are Carter Gordon and Regan Campbell-Gillard. Our losses are Tanner Boyd, Aaron Clark, Zach Liu, Keenan Palacia, Seth Nicotimo, and Joe Stimson. So there are some losses there that will hurt us depth-wise, I believe, but nothing that I really think is too damaging to the Gold Coast right now. Tanner Boyd's still a player like Toby Sexton that I think in the right environment will be a brilliant, whether he wants to play utility 5'8" or halfback. I think he'll be a brilliant player. And I think Aaron Clark, prominent loss. He could bring a lot of energy to the bench from us. That being said, guys, I'll get to our best lineup, and I don't think we're missing too much at all because Aaron Clark's not really someone who can cover an edge. He's predominantly a middle, and as we know, we've got 4 elite props, right? So we can't really afford to carry 3 middle forwards on the bench. So as much as it sucks to lose someone like Clark, I think we're pretty well equipped to deal with that as well. In terms of our best signing, it is unfortunate that both Carter Gordon and RCG got injured during the preseason. So I would have to say Regan Campbell-Gillard is our best signing, given he's played for the Blues in Australia and in a grand final for the Eels, might I add as well. But I would say Carter Gordon has a high ceiling. Just because he's super young, we've already seen the Australian Wallabies rugby union at a young age. So I would say his Regan Campbell, just RCG being our best signing. Alrighty, our best line for the 2025. And that fullback, of course, I have King. I'll go spine first. My 5'8" is Jay Brimson, halfback Jaden Campbell, and my hooker is I think that's a really we've got a premiership winner there in Sammy V. Jaden Campbell, I've heard really great about his preseason, that he's really found his voice and he's now confident and he's directing troops around the park and he's found the leadership edge to his game. Keanu Kinney, we know he's a superstar, our reigning player of the year, and AJ Brimson with a point to prove. For our wingers, I don't think we change anything there. Alofiana Khan Pereira and Jojo Fafita. That leaves our centres as Brian Kelly and Philip Sami. I think it's a respectable backline. There's enough strike there with Loffy, for example. And then we also have two hard-working centres with Brian Kelly, who had over 200 metres in a trial, and Phil Sami, who we know comes in for that early hit-up, whether he's playing centre or wing. So it's a really great backline in the sense that it's the good mixture of hard work and X factor. And that's what really excites me. My starting front row, I'm going with Tino and Regan Campbell-Gillard. I think we start with our two most experienced players there. My back row is going to be Bo Firma and David Fafita, to no one's surprise, with Chris Randall at lock. I don't mind starting with Chris Randall. I know in previous years I've had him in that 14 jersey for his versatility, but the facts are he is so fit and in every moment of every game, whether he starts and has to move to 5'8", centre, back row, lock for us. He'll start at lock, hooker for us. It won't matter. He'll still play the full 80 minutes. So I think we use him while we've got him and we keep him in that starting role there at 13, which brings me to my interchange. So at the moment, I've got it as Kieran Foran / Carter Gordon, depending on who's available and who's fit out of the two there. And let's say later in the year that both are available. I think it's probably a case Carter Gordon might just have to go back to Tweed and play halfback or 5'8" and keep developing his skill set there, which, is probably not where he wants to be. But in reality, starting halfback experience in reserve grade is still an incredible experience for someone who's still relatively fresh to rugby league. My bench forwards are Mweki Fotuweka, Jolliffe, and Cleese Haas. Now, I've got Cleese Haas in that 17 last spot because he can play back row and lock. I feel like with Mo and Jimmy, we don't need another explosive player in that 17 role. We need someone who's going to come on and perform consistently in defense. And Cleese does get through a mountain there. And whilst he's getting through that mountain of work defensively, we need to frame our mind with, let's say he replaces Tino. Now that's big Tino getting a massive rest on the interchange bench where he'd be the one making those tackles. And what Cleese will really do is tighten up the defense for a little bit and allow some of our more explosive forwards to get that rest so they can come back on and have an impact. So whilst Cleese Haas won't get too many praises from the fans this year, from the wider community, he will be really integral to what we need from our interchange. So I've got him there. As for my 18th man, not too much of a consideration in the modern game, but it depends whether we want a forward or a back. If we want a back, it would be Jalen de Groot for me. If we want a forward, it would be Tukey Simpkins there. An option instead of Simpkins would be Josiah Pahulu, but I think given he is likely and almost certainly off to the Bulldogs next year at this stage, would probably be better having Tukey Simpkins there, who's coming off a premiership win for North Devils in the Queensland Cup. Alrighty, guys, I want to move on to some season predictions for you all now. My best player pick, I'm going to go ahead and say Tino for Asua Malawi. Now, I know in previous years that's a bit of you're playing a straight bat to take a cricket term, but he looked super confident in his trial. What I also loved about his trial was his movement. He wasn't just taking the line on, just nice and straight. He didn't look worried. He didn't look anxious. He looked like Tino that we knew and loved, where there's that late footwork, there's that quick momentum around the ruck and ball playing. And I really loved what I saw from him in the trial. So I'm prepared to say Tino is back, baby. And in terms of recovering from an ACL, with the modern science and the fact that he's gone over and worked with USA specialists even, we saw someone like Pat Carrigan in his first season back from an ACL injury win the Wally Lewis medal as the best player for the Queensland Maroons in a winning series. So the precedent is set now that it doesn't really take a whole season to get back into your mojo from an ACL injury anymore. Players with modern science can get back on the front foot from their very first game. We saw that with Tino. Although he did play limited minutes, I've got no doubt the big fella's got the gas tank to play some larger minutes for us. My best rookie selection is going to be Carter Gordon. Strangely enough, he is eligible via the NRL rookie definitions. If he played in the Super League, for example, he wouldn't be eligible because he played professional rugby union. He is. When I look at our roster, I think he's probably the most likely to play the most games, so I'd have him as our rookie selection. If you guys want me to name some more outside chances, Sam Stevenson in the centres, he played for the Maroons in under-19s. He looks tall and powerful. He's got a nice offload as well. I think he brings a lot of X factor. Now, he is only 19 or 20 years old, so if we don't see him this year, it's not the end of the world for his career and development. Zane Harrison, I think a lot of Titans fans are looking to this guy as our future. I am just cautious to pile a bunch of pressure on him, but he is very, very talented in the halves there. He won the same award in schoolboys that Lockie Galvin won before he had his massive breakout season last year in his rookie year. And then Jalen de Groot, he's still under the 5-game threshold. He has been training in the outside back, so I don't think he'll get a run at fullback this year, although maybe he would. Let me retract that statement, actually, guys. Jalen de Groot is another option for Rookie of the Year because he's preseason. But I think if Keanu Kinney was to be suspended or injured, then you'd move Jalen de Groot to fullback and keep the halves combination together of Brimson and JC in a perfect world. So that's another option there. My most improved players for forwards, I'm going to say Dave Fafita, and for outside backs, I'm going to say Brian Kelly. Now, neither of them need to improve massively. I'm not suggesting their games are down here and they're suddenly going to become superstars. I'm just looking at our roster, and a lot of our players played pretty well last year, results aside. And we're talking players that take a big step and a big jump up. I would tip those two for the same reason. There's competition for spots now. There's 7 outside back options for the center, and there's 6 options at back row. So both of them need to be on their A game, and they are both world class on their day. When they're at their best, they are 2 of the most damaging players in this competition. So I'm hoping with the increased pressure of really players pushing for positions, it does bring out the best in them, and they rise to their absolute best form in 2025. All righty, guys, let's talk key games. Now, firstly, I have circled round 2 against the Bulldogs. Who can forget what happened last year? 32-0, we lose Tino. But we also have the bye in round 1. And after our slow start in the 2024 season, we don't want to be chasing all year, guys. So I have circled this game as a very important one to get our players in the right mindset, to start our season with a win, and really make sure that we are not chasing in 2025. We've shown last year we can't afford to do it. So we need to have a strong start there. Next, I have circled out round 12. We have a bye then, and our next 3 games are all Queensland-based between Seabus and Magic Round at Suncorp. So it's a period where it's the mid-season mark. We'll know what our best combinations are. Hopefully we're in form, and we can really get some of that mid-season momentum. Next game I've circled is round 19. We're at home against the Broncos after a bye. Now, that will be our final bye for the year. After that game, we go into games against the Tigers and Warriors, which is 2 teams that right now on paper, you'd have to say we're fancied over. So it's a chance to start building that back-end momentum. We have the bye. Hopefully we can get a win over our arch rivals and then beat 2 teams that we should be fancied over, you would think, in the Tigers and Warriors. Final one I've got is round 25. First, the Warriors at home. Who can forget what happened there last year, 66-6. And then after that game, we go into the Dolphins at Suncorp and Tigers at home. So that's another 3-game stretch in Queensland, and that's a chance to build some momentum, hopefully into a final series. They're the areas I've circled out in our season. Of course, every single game is important, guys, but they are periods that I really want to see us nail this year, and hopefully I gave good enough reason for that. All righty, let's go to my ladder finish, guys. I said finals, but realistically, where do I see us at the moment? That 9th to 12th range, unfortunately. I don't see us as a bottom 5 side. I think we're well above that this year, but I can't fully commit to seeing us play finals either. And here's why. I want everyone that's listening at home right now to just pause and think. If I told you for $1 million, you need to name me one side that can certainly not make the finals in 2025, who do you say? Like, I think the Knights will struggle. The Dolphins might struggle. The Tigers have won 3 spoons in a row. I wouldn't even feel safe saying Tigers guys with some of their signings. So I just feel with the competition being so close this year, unless you can really picture a side as a top 4 side, and when I talk top 4 at the moment, I've got the Panthers, Storm, and Sharks there, 4th spot only. Unless you can picture a team as a top 4 side, I don't think you can confidently predict finals coming into 2025. It is going to be a very, very close season. So that's why I'm playing a little bit conservative. I'm saying I've got us in that 9th to 12th range. But what's exciting is, as I just touched on before, we've got multiple opportunities throughout this year to build momentum throughout the season. And I do think with our enthusiastic and energetic play style, I predict we will see some great results and some great wins this year. So whilst I do have us on the edge of the finals currently, I'm really hoping the frontline support can be that catalyst that gets behind the team weekly, supports them through thick and thin, and pushes us up into that top eight rather. Alrighty, guys, where to find us? We are on Facebook. Search Gold Coast Titans Frontline, and you will see our group there. We're on Instagram at Titans Frontline. If you have any questions or you're interested in attending a Titans game at any stage this year, please reach out to our Facebook group or Instagram so we can assist. We're not only happy to assist, guys, we genuinely want to. We really want you to be a part of the frontline community this year. As we said at the start of this podcast, start for the front line. So please, guys, if you're thinking about it or you're on the fence, whether you're Sydney-based, Canberra, Brisbane, Gold Coast, if you're thinking about it at all, please don't hesitate in reaching out to us so we can help you and assist you. If you are Gold Coast based and you want to sit with us at home games, you can call the Titans membership line on 07 5656 5656 or email membersinfo@titans.com.au. Mention either on the phone or via email that you're interested in joining the front line, and I'm sure our club staff will help find the right membership package for you. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with me on this solo pod. I tried to make it a little bit shorter because it is just my ugly face, and it is more interesting when there's two co-hosts going back and forth with each other. And as I said, we will have a new co-host when we return for our round 2 preview episode. And I really look forward to bringing that to you guys. So thank you so much for being here. That is all for the 2025 NRL season. Thank you so much for your viewership. New season, a fresh start in the front line, a fresh new co-host, which we will introduce next episode, plus so much more to be excited about, guys. Connection, community, and commitment. The Gold Coast Titans front line. I love it, baby. Let's go. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you all.